the hot seat with Deborah Fennella TV show. So, moving on with your music career, tell us a little bit now about Ronan Furlong. Now, I see press release, great animated video from Hayes Nubella, plus the Silver Talk to be featured by MMA fighter Richard Keeley as his walk-out music at the Free Arena on the 27th of September, which is not long, so actually in September now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's actually being broadcasted globally through Sky Paramount in the United States.
Yeah, it is. It's Ronan.
An amazing opportunity.
Well, Ronan's a really interesting guy. He's a fabulous musician, and he's obviously a Wexford guy, singer-songwriter from Ireland. But he's very different. He writes songs about a lot of things, such as sort of Greek mythology. Hence, the name of the album is Diotima's Ascent, and the track that you were trying to mention just now is called Hades Nebula, which is absolutely, it's a great track actually. But he commissioned a video to be done for it, which we will put on the pre-record of this at some point. We'll play the song in a minute, but the video is astonishing. It was done by a company called Rasta in India, and it is just brilliant. It's you see this wonderful punk girl on a butterfly flying all around space and things, but the song and the song and the video fit so well together. But the Silver Talk is a very short, sharp, electronic version of it's like an Irish jig reel type of thing, but a bit different. And Richard Keeley is, as you say, an MMA fighter who is fighting a guy called Michael Venom Page in the Free Arena on the 27th of September in front of 10,000 mad Irishmen. And it is the walkout music he's chosen, because it's like the boxers walk out. He has chosen this song to walk out to. So what's interesting about that is we're going to it could be that Ronan's going to play live, but we're not sure yet. But certainly the music's going to be played, which of course is going to hopefully open up various things for him. So we're going to play that.
So is the actual song like an empowering song, you know, like the Eye of the Tiger, which is the Rocky song? Because obviously it's going to be played, you know, at this heavyweight champion. You think it'd be a bit like that?
Well, if you have a listen, we'll find out.
So we're going to play it now just for you. When he blasts his voice out. There you go. That'd be song. That's a bit of Irish dancing.
Well, it's got that.
That's the church.
It's written for that reason.
It's Irish.
Knows everything.
I wish I could play my guitar like that. track, I must admit, it was really sort of soft and soothing in the beginning, and then next minute he got going on his electric guitar, and he reminded me of Irish dancing. It's really cool.
Well, yes, I mean, you can certainly imagine
everyone being prepared, you know, booing them up, ready to get in the ring to fight.
Walking out to fight.
Yes.
With 10,000 Irishmen.
Yes.
Bang. Jumping up
It's
down
getting
to
them all
that.
prepared, isn't it? You know, set up for fighting.
So yeah, we'll play the track of Hades Nebula a bit later.
Yes.
So but that'd be good. So yeah.
Good song, I like
Interesting.
it.
Yeah.
Apparently he's also a really good singer as well.
Yes, great. Well, you'll hear from on the Hades Nebula song in a minute, his vocals. So
he's really good.
Yeah, he's very talented. I'm very pleased to have signed him to the label a couple of months ago. So good.
Now you manage many singers, don't you? And there's another singer that you also manage, and was a recent signing in US in California based John Shea.
John Shea, that's correct.
Shea, and his great new single Lover.
Yeah.
Now, is it about a true love because it's called Lover?
Yes, I think it is really.
But is it about a breakup of a relationship, or does someone he's fallen in love with? Are you telling a story about?
Yeah, it is about a relationship. I mean,
Yes.
I guess the other good thing about John is there's a story behind all of these things, and we'll play the Lover one first, and then there's another one which is associated with John, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But John himself is he's a bass player and a guitarist, really good singer, but it's that wonderful West Coast American country rock blues fusion that I like about what they do.
Yes.
And he's played with all sorts of people across all sorts of different spheres in his life, and I think they love the idea of signing to an English record label, because it was different. And of course the States is so vast. When you talk about music in the UK, when we try to promote in the UK, we know roughly where to go for these guys and those guys and radio and media. And of course in the States, you know, bearing in mind you can fit England into California 4 times, then it's so vast out there, it's very difficult. They can break regionally, but
Yes.
it's very difficult to break out into that nationally, I think. So, and I think there's something we're working on. We've got this a bit with Ronan as well. There's an old adage going back to the 60s. If you think of the big boys of the 60s, the Beatles, the Stones, and all those sort of 60s revolutions, a lot of those guys didn't have to, but they went outside to be famous here. So they made it better in the States before they came here. So it's a bit of a strange thing. Sort of an artist can go somewhere else and they love them, and then suddenly, well, we want them back here now.
Yes, you do find it happens.
And it does happen.
It does
really
happen quite
And,
often, doesn't it? Because obviously you've not just got the UK charts, you've got the American charts, you've also got the Canadian charts, haven't you?
Well, and Europe,
And Europe. There's many different charts, because obviously all the countries all over the world. But again, it's just an initial platform where you take centre stage in the hope that everyone likes you.
Indeed. So I think for that reason they want us to come, and for that reason they've come to an English label like me, and we work very closely together with them. And I think we've probably got different attitudes to some of the American labels as well. So we're much more together as a unit. We're much more organic than the bigger sort of labels out there. So it works, and we've just released this, and it seems to be being received very well. So have a listen.
So I think maybe we ought to let our listeners have a listen of The Lover.
John Shea and Lover.
Let's see what you think.
Arrangement with the strings in the background.
It is, yeah. With percussion as well. Like the instruments.
Yeah, so there you go. That's John Shea and Lover. There's an interesting story actually because John Shea's wife, Cheryl, who's an absolutely lovely lady, I used to work with her when I was working with Andy Fraser because Andy was doing some really interesting projects in the States. One of them was called Rock Against Trafficking, against human trafficking. And I met her because she was doing a lot of PR out there with another lady called Belinda Foster. And the two of them were doing a lot of the projects. That's how I got to meet them. Then years later, a couple of years after Andy passed away, we just somehow rang one another by mistake and said, "Say you? Yeah, and we got talking. And she said, well, why don't you have a listen to John's music? So I did.
Oh, bless her.
But the interesting thing about that is, and when we move on to the next topic within this, that her brother Ken, who's Ken Christian, who's got the notes on there, he unfortunately died of addiction about 5 years ago.
Oh,
but they'd recorded, him and John had recorded an album of songs many years ago, and they hadn't done anything with it. She suddenly said, I want to do something with it, can we release it? And so we had to take the songs. I had to get a good friend of mine who's a brilliant masterer called Steve Kitch to master them. And that album is out now, came out last Friday.
And what's the name of the actual album?
They're called, it's Ken Christian and John Shea, and the album's called Look Down. And it's a tremendous album. It's really, again, it's a bit West Coast, obviously, a bit more rocky. And Ken was a really good singer too. Between him and John, they had such, and they all played with all sorts of people like Bill Wyman, Bobby Womack. So they toured the States, doing all sorts of different music in their day. But also Cheryl set up a foundation in Ken's name.
I was just reading that actually.
Yeah, to help.
Really lovely.
Yeah, to try and help youngsters that may fall into the same pitfalls, which of course many do, unfortunately.
They certainly do, whether it's drugs, addiction to drugs, or even alcohol as well. So.
Well, yeah, and of course the music industry is again notorious for that. I guess especially if there are problems and you don't make it. I mean, going back to what we were saying earlier about how difficult it is in the music industry, people can make it and still fall off the cliff because, and we were talking about playing free just now, and you're talking about the infamous 27 Club, which is all the musicians that have died over the years that were aged 27, of which there are many. Paul Kossoff, who was the guitarist of Free, was one. Amy Winehouse was another.
Yes, she was.
Jim Morrison at the Doors was another.
There's been many actually over the years, isn't there? It's really sad.
It's eerie that they were sort of.
I think also in the music industry, there's a lot of pressure as well. You know, even when you do make it big, because when they go on tour, they're away from their families.
Yeah.
You know, so also they're not eating properly, and you know, they need lots of energy, don't they? So maybe sometimes they might sort of be drawn down the pathway of drugs to keep them going for that adrenaline.
Yeah. Yeah, very difficult.
Even Freddie Mercury, it even happened to him, didn't it?
Well, of course, yeah. I mean,
he was phenomenal, Freddie, wasn't he?
Well, absolutely, yeah.
You know, there was only one Freddie, and there will be another one. He was amazing.
No, absolutely. And when I speak to Spike Edney, who I mentioned earlier, is the keyboard player in Queen, has been since way before Freddie went, and did Live Aid with them as well, and still plays with Queen now, but also has his own band called the SAS Band, which is I think they're playing the Guildhall in Portsmouth next Thursday, and then they're doing 2 shows at the Brook in December. And what he does is it's called Spike's All Stars, and he brings all sorts of different people together to just perform for the night. And you've got Tony Hadley, you've got Kiki D, you've got so many different people, Toya, all sorts of.
And I think it's lovely because a lot of the bands coming, you know, going right back actually to the 80s are all coming back, aren't they? You know, even the Spice Girls have come back now. Yeah. So it's lovely, the fact that they are relaunching themselves. And,
you can be a bit cynical about that as well, can't you? Why are they doing it? Money, but maybe, I don't know.
But not always. Sometimes you need a rest because obviously, again, a lot of pressure, and they settle down, they have families, the children are growing up, and then as the children a little bit older, I'm missing my music career, I want to get back to it. So sometimes they put it on the back burner and then get back to it, don't they? But getting back to Freddie Mercury, he didn't have an easy path, did he?
No, of course not.
You know, but it was wonderful towards the end, and Live Aid, and an inspiration to, well, billions of people, wasn't he? During Live Aid. And also suffering from AIDS himself as well, wasn't he?
Of course, yeah. And there's a fabulous journalist called Leslie Ann Jones, who we interviewed a lot on the radio, who has written lots of books about all these stars, and she was very close to Freddie and toured with Queen a lot in the early days, and with Bowie. She written a book about Bowie as well. But a book about Freddie only came out a few months ago, and it's a top bestseller.
I can imagine. So he has such a big heart. He just genuinely wanted, you know, to help people, make them smile as well. Yeah. So he was phenomenal, wasn't he? Yeah. And still missed even today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So moving on to some more of your fabulous signed artists.
Yeah.
I think actually you wanted to play the next track, Look Down, didn't you?
Yeah, I think we will. Let's play. It is a track from the album Look Down. It's called Stop Taking Your Love to Town, actually, and this is Ken Christian and John Shire, and this is a tribute and a posthumous album for Ken Christian. So, but listen to this. This is a great rocky track.
Behind the scenes enjoying the songs.
Tom Cameron is loving this.
You can't see what he's actually playing, he's really enjoying the music,
And I don't want to sit in love. very American West Coast sound. You know, it's got that Leonard Skinner, it's got that Leonard Skinner feel to it as well. Credence to all the violence and stuff. I'm a rocker. I love rock music. I'm not a metal fan. Yeah, I don't mind. I'm across the board.
Stop taking your love to town. Stop taking your love to town.
So there we go. That was Stop Taking Your Love to Town.
I thought it was actually saying stop playing that guitar.
Oh dear.
Oh, we do have a giggle here. So
That's
also
what this is all about, isn't
it
it?
certainly is, having a giggle.
Relaxed, having a laugh.
But also Look Down.
Entertaining the public.
So
Look
again,
Down's the album, yeah.
I wonder where they thought, obviously, of the name Look Down.
Okay.
I keep putting on spot tonight. I like to obviously understand why they've come up with these names.
Well, I can give you an answer to that.
Okay.
They didn't, I did.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And there's a reason for that. Because
Look Down from the stage, maybe?
well, no. I'll tell you what it was.
Okay.
We were trying to. We had a collection of songs. One of the songs is called Look Down.
Okay.
And we were just trying to. There's a lot of material out there. We were trying to put the first batch of songs together for this album. There's 12 songs on the album. But the difficult part was finding the right image for the cover.
Right.
Because there weren't a lot of great shots of Ken Christian, and we wanted a good one of him. And the best one that I could find of him was a shot that Cheryl sent over, which my wonderful tech guru Simon Atterbury, who's based in London, did a bit of a tweak on, and you've got a great picture of him playing the guitar with a microphone in front of him, which is on the digital image of the album, which you can see. It's
and
all
he's looking
over.
down.
You can find it, and he's looking down with a guitar in his hand,
I get it.
with the desert behind him.
Wow.
And it's a brilliant picture.
Amazing picture.
It is just, but it certainly fits the music. So I said, well, let's call the album Look Down, because that's exactly what he's doing. So that's what we did. So
and
there's
his
your
wife
answer.
must be really proud as
Yeah.
well. That's another you can actually, launch the album yourself too.
Absolutely.
Now moving on to your next artist. Now you've also got Lisa Quay, and a great album lately, and a major fundraiser for Parkinson's UK, and you're also in discussions with Parkinson's UK about working closer with them, running live music events and also releases to benefit the charity.
That's right. Yeah, we've had a couple of meetings. I mean, the reason for this is Lisa Quay. I mean, she fits a lot of the things we've been talking about. She's one that was ripped off is not too strong a thing to say, by somebody within the music industry, where she lost a lot of money, who basically didn't deliver at all.
Right. What was that?
You're talking about
is
somebody,
that pay money up front where someone's going to say they're going to produce their song?
Yeah,
Yes.
or
Like a
retainers,
record label.
or
Yes.
ongoing big retainers for a period of time. And we're talking, 20,000-30,000 sort of money. So
Wow.
a lot of money.
I mean, like we were saying earlier, obviously there are pitfalls in the music
Of course
industry,
there are,
and it's always important that you do get contracts, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So there was a big issue, obviously there. So she fits that discussion we were talking about earlier as well. And I met her through a publisher. I've got a publishing partner called Richard, who runs a company called Spiegler, who does all the publishing for my songs, and we'll talk about that in a minute because you wanted to talk about royalties as well.
Yes.
And Richard introduced me to Lisa, and we've been working together for a couple of years now. We had a bit of a sojourn in the middle because she had a baby, so we sort of put that album on ice that we just put out but hadn't PR'd, so we left that there. But she's back on the road now. Her husband is the drummer in the band. He's a quality top drummer, played with all sorts of people. He actually played with the Bee Gees years ago at one of the award ceremonies and things like that. He's a drummer in the band, So they're a great band, and she's written some really good songs. But her father's got Parkinson's, so she started raising money for Parkinson's a few years ago, and I've come on board with her, and we're now talking to them directly about doing more things and potentially releasing music through my record label by lots of different artists. We could possibly put out a compilation album. Yes. We can release digital streams. We can do live events. We can do. We've just done one down in Dorset at our local pub in Burton Bradstock, where I live, called the Anchor, on the 26th, which is that brilliant bank holiday Monday with lovely weather.
Really fortunate.
We had a couple of hundred people there. I don't know, we've made exactly yet, but I think we grossed about £1,800, really of which we did. I mean, when we do the charity things, we bring in musicians to play there, to play all day. We had 6 or 7 bands playing. We pay them. You don't do it for nothing. We pay them. Mm-hmm. Probably not as much as they would get for a big commercial gig, but we pay them. So we take them out, and then what's the balance of left, which I think will be, once all the expenses are out, about £800, will go to the charity. So,
and it's a good cause as well. I mean, I sadly lost a really close friend of mine, and she had Parkinson's disease, and she passed away a couple of years ago. A close friend of mine.
But Lisa's really, she's a great songwriter. She writes some lovely songs. She's very much a philanthropist as well. She fits, she writes songs about what she feels, and the song lately, the title track from the album, excuse me, which is we're going to play in a minute, epitomises that, because it is about stop fighting, stop this, let's stop doing that, let's stop global warming, and everything else. So, but it's a great track. So,
and what's the track called?
It's called Lately, and it's the title track of the album.
The next song.
Without hurt, live without pain, with love in my heart. But when I get into a stride, the evil come and they show all is not right. The feeling is gone, something is wrong, and this duality is come. Story's getting so old. Change your fate, let it all go. Something is wrong, and this duality is come. Many words are spoken, many lives are broken, and now look at the mess we've been left with lately. Many words are spoken,
great song that was as well. Again, it's all about living without war. Peace and love is the answer. And it also reminds me of my friend Scarlett Jet as well, because he's also ambassador for global change, and all of his songs are all about peace is the answer. So her mission is very much the same, isn't it?
Very much so, yeah. And as you said earlier on, quite a lot of it's from experience. And life experiences within her and her family as well. So yeah, absolutely, and wonderful lyrics in there. It crosses, it hits the right notes. It really does.
It certainly does, because like you say, even within families or friendships, sometimes there's fallouts and arguments, disagreements, and it is all about peace is the answer. But also forgiveness is the key too, isn't it?
Absolutely.
In order to find that peace. So it's love one another and be kind to one another, isn't it? Now then, moving on. Now you've also got Ariana.
Well, Oriana
Curls. Now she is a French lady who is very saucy. Well, in the music video, she's actually in the bath, and she looks quite sort of like saucy, doesn't she?
Yeah, I mean,
fantastic singer.
As it happens, I've got two French singers at the moment as well. There's Anna Scott as well, but Oriana is she's a really wonderful French chanteuse. She plays a lot in the clubs in London. She plays a lot in Paris and in France. She does a bit of acting, a bit like yourself really, does a bit of acting, quite a bit of modelling. She was in, there was a big series shot for M6, which is the big TV channel in France. They did a documentary about expatriates that were living in other places, and she was part of it, where she was singing in London, so they filmed her in London. She's been in several movies as well, but she's got a great voice, obviously very jazzy. She is an out and out.
She is very sassy.
Crossover jazz.
I say sassy and jazzy as well. I mean, she is actually singing a cover version, isn't she, of Poison in one of the videos.
Well, that's right. I mean, the album itself it's the only cover on the album. The rest of the songs are really quite good as well. But what's interesting about this is it's a really, and this is, I think, one of the difference of, let's just say, the difference between covering a song and interpreting a song are different things. There are great interpreters. There are great interpreters of song. People like, there's a great singer called Barb Younger, who I worked with years ago, who took the American songbook, ripped it apart and put it back together again, and just sang it with her and a pianist. And when you look at some of the Springsteen songs coming out of there, and you think, and the Tom Waits songs and things, you think, wow, that's so different, it's so good. And Oriana's done the same thing with this, because this is Alice Cooper's Poison, which of course is a real rocky song, and it's really stripped, it's pared right back. But as you say, the video is quite saucy, which fits the and unfortunately we can't show it to you yet, but we'll put it on the
we will actually put it on so you can actually see it. I mean,
she is a great singer though.
She's a fantastic singer. I mean, when I was doing all my grades, obviously you have to do a lot of cover songs as well, and I've done up to my grade 8.
Sure.
But when I was singing the cover songs, my singing teacher at the time, so I've had a few singing teachers, who was actually helping me get through my grades, she said, whenever you sing a cover song, sing it as if you wrote it yourself, and then you actually put your own stamp on it. And I think so many singers make the same mistake where they try to sing it exactly as the original artist. What they need to do is actually put their own stamp on it as if they wrote the song and sing it completely different in their own way. I think that's what your singer Ariana Curls does do.
And it's what there are quite a few that do it now actually, and
that makes it a little bit more unique.
It does. It does, and you've actually touched on a nerve as well there, because quite a lot of people, and I must admit, me included, though I've worked with a few, are quite stuffy about tribute bands.
But there's lots of tribute bands.
Well, there is, but there's a point there. I was talking to a guy who plays in the Queen Extravaganza tribute band, who are big, and they play again Portsmouth Guildhall.
I've actually seen him. He's really good, actually.
Well, they're endorsed. They're endorsed by quite a lot of people. I think Jamie Moses plays with them, and people like that, who plays with Spike on the SAS
I think he's
band.
due at the Tivoli Theatre, because he was recently at the Canvas Bar, and I went along with my lovely friend Maximilian. And he was phenomenal. My husband came, and he really enjoyed it, because he loves watching Freddie Mercury. But I know that they are actually due to appear at the Tivoli Theatre this month, I believe. And he's a phenomenal singer. I mean, the vocals are, the way he projects it.
But when we were talking about tribute bands, and and I was sort of mentioned about the stigma attached to them, which there is. He was saying, well, the way I look at it is, I mean, obviously, quite a few of them are no longer with us. So if you don't listen to a tribute band for some of these bands, you won't actually ever hear the music live. So
I think it's lovely they do it in memory of the phenomenal singers that have crossed over to keep their memory alive. It's like Elvis. There's so many Elvis tribute acts out there, isn't there? But it just keeps their memory alive and it helps people still remember them, I think, personally.
And the analogy that he used, and actually I completely concur with it, was that if you were listening to, and of course this also means that we know they're passed on, because if you were listening to classical music, you would go and see the London Symphony Orchestra, the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra, the somebody else Symphony Orchestra, somebody else doing it, but it would still be the same bit of music. He said, this is no different. We're just taking, and as time goes by, you will still hear the Queen songs in 50 years' time done by somebody else covering them or somebody else. So, and he had a point. He had a very strong point.
He certainly did, because their memory does actually live on. But also hitting on cover songs. If you're actually producing a cover song yourself, obviously you've got to pay royalties to the original copyright of the lyrics and the one who actually produced the song initially, the record label. So can we just touch on a little bit about royalties? Because those that are just starting out, they don't know an awful lot about royalties, so it'd be interesting for those that are listening to know.
First of all, the way collection is made is there are two bodies. There are PRS, which is predominantly for songwriting, and there are PPL, which is performance. And when I release a song, I allocate it a unique code, which is called an ISRC code, an International Songwriting Code. And as a record label, I have a prefix, which is blah, blah, blah. And then it's the year and the number. When I release that, I submit that into PPL with all the credits for who wrote the song, who performed on it, etc. So that when it gets played in radio, then the collection can be paid that way. From the songwriting perspective, I get my publisher to log it into PRS with the songwriting credits, and therefore the songwriting credits go through that route. So and each one of them comes together, so the artist gets paid. Now, if somebody covers a song and sings it, then obviously they will get the performance.
Yes,
but
you have the copyright.
But they don't get the PRS because they didn't write the song.
No,
the PRS goes to the songwriters. But equally, I released an album by another one of my artists who I tend to do more releasing for than much else, because she's actually managed by her mother. She's a great singer, a young lady called Kirsten Osborne, Welsh lass, and she is the next. She's been touted as the Forces sweetheart. She does all her work for the Forces. She's just been to the Falklands to sing for the troops out there.
Oh, that's
and I put her album out, but 11 of the 13 songs, 10 of them, whatever, were covers. But I actually had to buy a license for them. You actually get a license for them, which actually isn't a huge amount of money. But of course, if somebody's covering a song 1,000 times, then it obviously all adds up, and then they still get the PRS royalties anyway, especially if it goes to the charts and gets played everywhere. So it is a little different. So yes, you do. You don't actually have to get permission as such from the artist or the songwriter as such, unless you drastically change it, I think is the rule of thumb.
Right.
So if you were to say, take, I don't know, a Celine Dion ballad and turn it into a punk song, you might have a problem because they might object to it.
Yes, which you can actually imagine. I understand that quite you.
But generally, it's out there for people to cover songs, for sure.
So with regards to like copywriting a song, what is your initial advice for those who want to copyright a song to make sure they've got their personal stamp on it and no one else can sort of take away the copyright that maybe partly belongs to you?
Yeah, I mean, what you can do is, it's an old-fashioned way of doing it, which I think you'll find is, and I think it's still valid now, you actually write the song
and post it
down
to yourself.
and post it yourself in a sealed envelope.
Right.
And you can still do
I've heard that before, yes.
Yeah, you can. But the actual easiest way is to come to somebody and say, go to a publisher and say, because the other thing I say to my artists, I'm some great songwriters in it. Lisa's a great songwriter. Ronan is. A lot of these people, they have a song and they perform their songs and they're released. But other than that, the analogy I use is the songs are actually sat on a shelf. They're not doing anything.
No.
So you may as well take those songs and give them to a publisher, do the right deal with a publisher, because again, publishing can be rip-off. You can get huge splits the wrong way, but most good publishers will give you a good percentage split, and then they will actually sell or push the song for syncing, what we call syncing, which is basically for adverts, for media, for film scores. And gaming is massive at the moment. You know, we don't know that whether we're hoping that some of Ronan's stuff could be picked up in gaming because of that.
So it is massive, isn't
so
it?
Again, and then the royalties that come in from that are quite big. You see.
But also with the copyright, I mean, say for instance, someone downloaded a song onto YouTube, you should own that copyright because you're the initial first person. Would you say?
Yeah.
Or if you sort of paid for the production of a song in the recording studios, would you own full copyright that song?
If you put it up on YouTube, it's basically in the public domain.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. So actually, anybody can access it, and actually, they can't download it. They can stream it. They can watch it. They shouldn't be ripping it off. Let's put it that way. But they can watch it.
Yes.
Now the other thing
that's
is,
a form of copyright, though, isn't it?
No, it's not, because basically, as a label, I collect that money anyway. So just like they're streaming it, the YouTube is a stream, the same thing.
Okay.
So the money, again, it's not a huge amount of money, but that money will come back to, or should come back to the label, the distribution company, the label that is actually distributing it. So there will be money coming through that, which they need to make sure they're collected. I mean, people can self-release. I mean, they do it through CD Baby and things like that.
Yeah. But the thing is, say for instance, like you said, you write the song down and then you post it back to yourself.
Yeah.
How are people going to know that you've done that?
They're not, but if you find that it's out there and then you go to somebody and say, well, hang on a minute, you're using my song, well, here's the proof of using my song, then basically you would get PRS involved and they would then pull the money back for you.
Right.
So that's what would happen. So you would go to a collection authority. In fact, my publisher, Richard, works for big labels and big artists that in the past have not earned some of the money they think they have, and he's gone back and found quite a lot of money for them. So there are things like that happen. It's a bit of a minefield, to be honest.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. You know, and obviously copyright, it's making sure you do it correctly, really. So say, for instance, if someone, sort of made up a band name, how would they then copyright it so it actually stays the band name?
Yeah, I mean, that's...
I mean, obviously you can't post that off to yourself, but, like when you've got a website, you have to get the domain name, don't you?
You would then register it. You can register them with various bodies to make sure that it's there. And you're funny you should say that, because there have been big cases recently. Wishbone Ash was a classic one, the big classic rock band Wishbone Ash, who split into two, and the two main band had a fight over it, and one won the name and the other one didn't. So one can use the name, the other one can't. Or I think he can, because he's Fred as Wishbone Ash or something like that, but he can't actually just go out as Wishbone Ash.
So is there a particular website that you can actually, say for instance, you've thought of a name for your band or to call yourself, is there a particular website that you can go on to check that no one else has actually got that?
I think the first thing
like
to do
you can
is
with the domain name for your
that's right.
business.
That's the first thing to do, is do it through a domain name.
Right. Okay.
Which is what I do with Thoroughbred Music, but also it's a limited company, so that is another thing.
Yes.
But with a band name, there is. I can't remember where they are, but there are. You can only go to Google it, and it will come up, and somebody will say, right, okay, this is what you do to protect it. But it's a funny one, band names. They really are, because
it certainly is. Because there's always pitfalls in everything and trademarks as well. So if you're actually embarking down that path of singing, it's make sure do your research so that you don't get caught out or hurt by somebody else as well. Protect yourselves. And it's always good to get a contract as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So getting back to Oriana Curls, I think we ought to maybe play her song.
Let's play Poison, shall we?
Your cruel device, your blood like ice. One look could kill my pain. Your friend. your skin, so white, black lace on suede. I hear you calling and it's needles and pins. I wanna hurt you just to hear you screaming my name. Don't wanna touch you but you're under my skin. I wanna kiss you but your lips are venomous poison. Your poison running through my veins. Your poison. I don't wanna break this chains. Poison. Ba-da-do-do-do-do, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-do-do-do-do-do, ba-ba-ba-ba-do-do-do-do-do-do-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-do-do-do, da-ba-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. One look could kill my pain. Your I wanna love you, but I better not touch. I wanna hold you, but my senses tell me to stop. I wanna kiss you, but I want it too much. I wanna taste you, but your lips are venomous poison. Your poison running through my veins. Your poison. I don't wanna break these chains. Poison.
A very sassy song, and I really like it.
No, she's
very theatrical. I mean, I do musical theatre as well, but she's got this very theatrical
well,
side to her
has,
personality,
yeah.
isn't she?
Yeah, she has, and she's without doubt a true professional singer. You know, she's a great singer.
Yes.
And she does the Piaf show as well. You know, the Edith Piaf stuff as well, being French as well. But funny enough, you mentioned musical theatre. Anna Scott, who's the other French girl that I've signed, and she's got a great album out called Strip Back. She's another one that is quite sassy, but she does a brilliant, and we're just having it adapted. She's done it in France a lot, we're just having it adapted into English. She has a one-woman show, which is on stage, which is she's written herself, but she sings. It's a musical, in effect, just with her in it, but she sings to her own backing track. So she gives the music to the guy on the desk, and then she sings the song to the music. So while she's acting out this hour so long play. Different characters, and then she's got a phone, and then she's sat on a thing, and then she's a brilliant dancer. She's an opera singer. Her mum and dad were opera singers.
Oh, was she? Oh, bless her.
She's an opera singer.
I think
as well.
a lot of people, you know, in the music sort of profession. I mean, I started out in the modelling world and TV and casting world back in 1977.
Yeah.
You know, and also done dance and musical theatre and studied all my grades. And you find a lot of people actually, before they get noticed, you know, success doesn't happen overnight.
No.
They've actually been doing it for a long time, many years, until that right door opens. But they've also built, you know, in confidence and, you know, gained their knowledge and wisdom and experience, haven't they?
Absolutely, yeah, indeed.
Wow.
Okay, brilliant.
That's been fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Adrian, being my very first guest on In the Hot Seat with Deborah Fennella, and also sharing some of your amazing, phenomenal artists as well.
Well, it's been brilliant being the guinea pig.
It certainly is, and
I think we're going to play out with Hades Nebula actually, because
we are, as I say, that's our very last song towards the end of the show.
And you will see the wonderful animated video of that as well, which you've got the links for on the edited version, because it is tremendous. It's just so different.
And we will actually put all of the links up afterwards that Adrian will do of how you can actually download these particular songs, you know, if you like them obviously, and also he's going to share some of the music videos as well, so you can actually see Oriana Kells' music videos.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for coming in today.
It's been a pleasure.
Bless you.
Thank you.
And this is our last song of the show. And thank you so much to each and every one of you.
This is Hades Nebula.
For watching us live here in the hot seat on the Deborah Fennella show, which I will be back live streaming on Wednesday at 12 o'clock. But I shall keep you posted.
Who's the guest? Who's the guest?
Oh. I'm going to keep it top secret.
You're not going to tell me?
Keep you guessing. Keep you guessing. I've actually got a lady and a gentleman who are local actually, and they do an amazing job. But they actually work for a charity.
Okay, splendid.
So they're going to be talking about their upcoming events.
Sounds great. Well, this is Hades Nebula by Ronan Furlong.
Tonight, make me wanna sing to the open arms of the Hades Nebula. As if it's all the same to you, and nothing means a thing, and you don't have to listen, and I won't try explain. But there's something in the air, and the stars are on the rise. Let the cities dwell in darkness. I'm gonna take a chance tonight. Come to me tonight, make me wanna sing to the open arms of the Hades Nebula. Come to me tonight, make me wanna sing to the open arms of the Hades Nebula.
What a fantastic Brilliant. Song.
What a great finisher.
It certainly is.
Yeah. You wait till you see the video.
Wow. So we're actually going to, again, Adrian will share the video for each and every one of you later on this evening, or maybe tomorrow as well. But thank you so much to each and every one of you for tuning in and actually watching us live here in the hot seat with Deborah Fennella. And we will be back with a new guest next Wednesday at 12 p.m. So watch this space. I hope everyone has an amazing weekend, and thank you so much to Adrian for coming all this way to be interviewed by myself today and my very first guest as well.
Thank you very much to these guys.
And thank you so much to Tom, my amazing cameraman, and my amazing camera lady, Tracy, as well. So thank you so much to them. And Tom was willing to join the music in the background. And we're just going to play the jingle, but bye for now. in the hot seat with Deborah Fennella TV show.